there, my name is Yevhen and I welcome you to Yevhen's Lab. Today's video is like spontaneous one because I wanted to start my channel a bit differently and that video will come along. But today's one I want to refer the yesterday's AMD presentation one. And it's kind of funny because initially I wanted to write it under different name, like for example, thick Navi, and to be like more standing out in that kind of regards. That was yesterday when I wrote all my script, and now I see what is happening in internet. A lot of people misuse this kind of stuff, so I thought that I will go a bit different way, because my mission here is to deliver my thoughts that are caught my attention and that can actually benefit you as a viewer and not just some shiny naming on the title. And I wanted to make a small disclaimer right here because I'm not an AMD or NVIDIA or Intel fan. I had both video cards, both Radeon, both NVIDIA in my day-to-day usage in the past, so it's kind of mixture of both. But from same experience I had, there is a clear mark that when one manufacturer and another manufacturer can produce similar type of product, they compete with each other, and we as end user and as buyers will benefit most because we will get more power, more features for less money. So this is how it goes. And now what I saw on AMD's presentation yesterday, what really stand out, that they now compete in high-end graphics card market. So they compete with 3090, 3080, basically with 3070. It was not mentioned like that, but still we know that they are relevant. And that's a very good mark because it shows that AMD is pretty confident about their product and the possibility of selling it and getting a revenue out of it. Because what we see with Ryzen, they just caught Intel out of guard, and Intel still can't get near its performance / value, and Ryzen just keep going, becoming better and better and better. With who we have like this kind of a lot of pluses after the naming, so yeah, that's really good because AMD went another way. They took different path, so they stayed on 7nm manufacturer process and they tried to get most out of it, to get strength through their pipe. Another thing I want to tell you that all of what we saw yesterday should be taken with a grain of salt because it wasn't tested on real bench system, on real benchmarks. We can compare different cards and etc. So this is all a speculation part, but still, if we take for example 3090 from NVIDIA and RX690 100 XT from AMD, and we take as what we saw on yesterday's presentation that the trade blows basically 2 to 3%, and if we add to this that AMD cost like how much, $200 less, that can be made a bunch of a difference. Another interesting topic that a lot of users questioned is the announce of ray tracing. It was said as part of support for DirectX 12 Ultimate. But what concerns me that AMD didn't show any real charts of using it compared to what we have on NVIDIA's sites. That's unfortunate because as we saw on 20th series where this all was announced and ray tracing, it was said as the main feature, and when it was turned on you just have like 2 times or 1.5 times performance degradation. So playing with ray tracing, for example, on 2060 becomes almost not possible. 2070 more or less, but still. So you should have like 2080 Ti, and still you can play very nice on, I think, 1440 monitor. So it's really kind of lacking this side to see how they trade both in these regards. I suspect NVIDIA is having upper hand because this next generation of this technology, so they are it's more mature, so it should be less of performance penalty there. But still, this information was not something like out of the box, because we already saw this kind of thing coming to new generations of gaming consoles, both from Microsoft and Sony, so it was kind of expected. One more interesting fact that I saw was all of new AMD generation video cards have 16 gigabytes of VRAM, and for example like 3070 from NVIDIA has only 8 gigs of RAM, and this can cause kind of additional plus to AMD scam. As I said before, like where AMDs compete with top-end solution from NVIDIA, for example like NVIDIA's 3090 and AMD's 6900 XT, or 3080 and 6800 XT, and we saw that AMD's 6800 compete with 2080 Ti from NVIDIA, and what we saw and the benchmarks that 2080 Ti and 3070 new generation NVIDIA video cards, they basically have very similar kind of performance wise, so it's about 3 to 4% difference, with a difference in the price like 700, right? So we had 2080 Ti for 1200, and we have 3070 for 500 something. Still, this is a very huge difference, even if you say that 3070 has only 8 gigs, where 2080 Ti had 11 gigs around, but still. My initial comment regarding the RAM difference is very on-site. If you see that now, if you pair the new Ryzen CPUs and new RX600 series video cards, you will have benefits, because now AMD announced new technology called Smart Access Memory that will give the CPU ability to access not only 256 megabytes on video card, but the full VRAM that consists of 16 gigs. So supposedly it should reduce the load times of different assets from the game, and I think not to duplicate them on your RAM and VRAM of your video card. So this is kind of interesting stuff. Another detail that caught my attention from the presentation was that AMD announced the software rage or rage mode. That basically this is an overclocking software that tries to push your video card limit to the maximum of its potential. It's really interesting to see how it behaves on different benchmark scenarios, games, etc., and how it compares to MCI Afterburner that is de facto a standard for video card overclocking these days. And what I see even more interesting is to see how the algorithm is working on this rage mode. For example, if it's has, for example, some checks for the temperature, and if you can try to lower the temperature as much as possible, can you go beyond and even 2200 milligigahertz on 6900 XT. It's not to mention for some hardware thing like Go, like LN2, overclocking stuff, Sub-Zero, all this kind of thing. Really interesting to see how that can be done and what can be really pushed out of these video cards. All that said, I don't really want to sound really like I'm an AMD fanboy or something like that, because there is a cons as well for all of this thing. It's a new technology, it's a new architecture wise, and as we saw before with Ryzen, it can come with a lot of software bugs, maybe some kind of incompatibility, inconsistency that will require different updates, even BIOS updates, all that kind of stuff. So I can't say that even if AMD will deliver what they promised, or even up to 80% of what they are promised, it can be suggested for the new users or users that don't really into computer stuff, who can't troubleshoot this kind of problems or BIOS thing, where, for example, from Intel or from NVIDIA, the software is more like reliable, you can say stable. This is one point. Another point I want to emphasize that there is a situation where your video card can be used not only for gaming experience, but it can be used, for example, for encoding, for decoding. It can be used in 3D rendering. It can be used, for example, when you program a machine learning, like when you use a 2x core with TensorFlow, and there AMD just don't have equivalent yet. There is some, but they are not that mature. And for example, even if you say about decoding or encoding, the software like Vegas or Adobe Premiere, they do support AMD encoding and decoding things, but still they are not that mature yet. And that's not going about saying if you're like programming and you use CUDA cores for your calculation speed up, then obviously you need to go with NVIDIA's one. That goes without saying. So yeah, I tried to talk not only about benefits I saw, but the possible downsides. And one more interesting thing that I'm planning to do another video where I will discuss how to choose different parts and why I choose these parts over that parts. So this kind of interesting small project coming on. And before I wrap up this video, I wanted to share one thing I noticed when I saw, I think 2 to 3 times the AMD presentation. You see, this is a reference design card from AMD, and if you compare it to 20 series NVIDIA's 2080 Ti, you Founders Edition, I think you can see some similarities right here. Just, interesting Easter egg. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave comments under this video. I will be very happy to answer all of them, and see you in the next video.